because it's weird, because I thought, starting out this conversation, I was thinking to myself, wow, like Satanic Panic was like this thing that was associated with metal music in the 80s, and it led into West Memphis 3 getting railroaded into prison for murders they didn't commit, because the town was so riled up about this shit that you could say this kid listened to Metallica, so therefore he must be a satanic murderer. Like, what happens to that energy? Like, because what I was saying, I thought about how that continues, and like you can see all this hysteria in QAnon 100%, and yet I don't know, like who's carrying the Satan or cult banner in popular music now? You know what I mean? Like, I know that there's like Marilyn Manson is gone. Like, he doesn't really. I don't think he's like a cultural producer in the way he once was. But like, I don't know. The one thing that I would think of is that I can think of is like Lil Nas X. I don't know if you've seen any of his videos, but like he's a rapper that like really seems like he's intent on trolling the right and trolling like people who are homophobic in particular. But he'll make videos where he's like fucked by the devil and made pregnant by the devil and like, that sort of shit, which seems very in line with what Marilyn Manson was trying to do. But I'm trying to think of other things.
Yeah, well, that itself has some interesting roots in something called horrorcore, which everyone debates where it comes from, like originally. But since I live in Michigan, I fully support that. There's this guy Isham, who really you have to. I mean, technically, Ghetto Boys are the first to do horrorcore. I mean, really, like
it's a rap music about killing people that's like really graphically violent.
Yeah, and you're almost like the lyrics are almost just meditations on like decomposition and stuff.
Eminem, he's the popular face of that, really, right? Like, he took horrorcore and made it like this huge thing in his music.
I think Isham would probably say that Eminem took a bunch from him, but Isham is this guy that used to sell cassettes. Like, if you went like on commission, like if you went to a record store almost anywhere in Michigan, you could get an Isham cassette on commission. That means that like the guy drove there one day and put like 50 cassettes and said, here's 50 cassettes. Give me the money when they sell. And so there's Isham and there's this guy Nodis, which it might not be a guy. I think Nodis might be a full group. I get a little confused with that. But they came out of Detroit like 88, 89 as this horrorcore thing. And then of course there was, actually, wasn't it? It was Memphis, wasn't it? Or New Orleans, was it? I might be getting their name wrong. Is it 3-6 Mafia or something like that? Yep. That's like 91, 92. That's super early for that.
When you say horrorcore, is it specifically in rap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
feel like there's a horrorcore element in metal music too, right? Like there's certain like metal bands that are like entirely about the same type of material, right? Like the same type of like dismemberment and all about
Carcass were huge in that. I was actually thinking about Carcass because I was thinking about this shift from the supernatural to more of the flesh. Yes. That we're kind of, because that's what we're kind of talking about here, or like, whether supernatural to social or to the body. But Carcass did an interesting thing where they're death metal, but they got rid of all the cosmic evil and they literally just sing about like saws and drills and slabs of meat and bile and bodily fluids and stuff.
Isn't it crazy to think that that's what, like, if you're in that band, like that's just like where my life ended up, that like, you when you're sitting at a bar and the bartender says like, well, what do you do for a living? It's like, well, I'm in this band and we talk about like sawing people up all the time. And like, there's something really funny about it to me. I always, like, when I was a kid, I was scared by this stuff, but now I find it really amusing, in part because of its trollish elements. I don't know. I mean, Eminem made a lot of that really horrific sort of descriptions of murder funny. Like, there was an element of humor to it.
Like dark comic books.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. That's subversive and rebellious on its own, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, I think to come full circle, like what we were talking about at the very beginning with like QAnon and the violence against transgender children and the crazy conspiracy theories. I think we're living in a time. It's almost like John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness, right? Like the dark visions in what used to be in our books and music and media is now just reality.
Yeah.
Like it's come almost like
Yes.
Lovecraftian. Someone unlocked, and I know everyone can say, well, no, it's always been horrific. I know it has, but like this weird conspiratorial where there's just no truth whatsoever. And
we're in the spell. Like whatever spell that the West Memphis people are able to have a level of hindsight about and say, wow, we were fucked up back then. Like, it seems like I keep wondering at what point will Americans look back at this era, pandemic era, Trump era, whatever you want to call it, QAnon era, and say, wow, we really went down the rabbit hole then, didn't we?